Today I'm going to try and design or make a table runner that's I'm hoping under 2 hours, and using scraps. Now at the beginning of last year, I went through all my fabric, and anything that was a yard or less went on a fabric card. And you can see they're really nice. I like them. If they have less, I would take that fabric card and cut it in half, and then I'd save them. Now what I find is it's a whole lot easier to design something when I just have these wonderful pieces. But so normally that's what I use. But today, even with all those, excuse me, there's still sometimes scraps left, and of course these are scraps, the fabrics that I just love. So I really don't want to get rid of them. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a center of a table runner, and they're all going to be scraps. I'm going to use black in between them. So I've cut some 3/4 inch strips that I'm going to use with them, and then I've also cut some 1/2 inch. So we'll use those. I've also been a little busy working out and trying to get different scraps done. If you'll notice, none of these are the same size. They're just wide enough so I can use them. I'm probably only going to use maybe about 4.5 inches of each of these. So I just have to, when I put them together, I want to center them so that I can get the pieces in there. So all I need to do is, it's pretty easy. Find the piece that I really love. So I'm going to, I don't have to pay attention to what size it is or what width. I'd like a straight edge, but I don't always need a straight edge. I can cut something at an angle, and I might get, every once in a while, just a little bit of interest. That would be kind of cool. So So I have my strips here. I'm going to need scissors, and I have these other strips that I've put together. So all I have to do to begin is just start sewing. I don't think I have to work real hard, whether I like them or not. Just now I could chain stitch them a little bit. Let's take this piece right here and this piece. Now I found this new little tool. This works the same as, no different than, first I'm going to finger press that. But I found this little roller. Now you could also use a wallpaper seam roller, but I found this one from Clover. So it just kind of makes it so I don't have to run to the ironing board all the time. And I think I'm going to put in on that one, maybe between, it's not every two that I'm going to choose to do this to, but I'm going to put a maybe a 1/2 inch piece here. No, excuse me, this is a 3/4 inch. And I'm not going to use that whole piece, so I'm going to take this one, and I'm going to do the same thing I did to the other one. First I'm going to finger press that, and then roll it. And I'll turn around and do the same thing to this. Press that a little bit better, and really roll that seam down. And I think I'd like it like that. So you see, I'm kind of putting this in the center because none of these are all going to be cut down to a perfect about 4.5 inches. So you can see I've cut some of this at 4.5. I'm just going to go and straighten this all out now. This is about, oh, actually it's 4.25. It doesn't really matter whatever width you want on that. It just will look a lot better. So I'm going to cut 3 pieces. Because that's a little bit longer than 40 inches. And if you notice, I do have my little mini rack here. It really does make it so that I can find my tools. I'm not looking for them all the time. But so I'm going to go to the sewing machine, and I am going to add these on to the sides. See how it looks.
I'm going to cut 3 of these again, because I made this longer than 40 inches, which may not have been the smartest thing I've ever done, but I liked it long. So let's make sure this is nice and straight. Fabric. Okay. Idea because I have a group of my book club people wanted to have a craft day, and they wanted to sell something, and I wanted them to be successful. I wanted something simple.
So one more time, I am going to do the same thing I did before, and I am going to go to my, here, I'll put this away. Going to go to my sewing machine, but when when I attach these borders again, I'm going to do this again at a 45 degree. So I'm going to lay it this way, and I definitely would, because it's the borders are wider. I'm going to cross that. Now I'm going to mark that, and I'm going to put a pin in this and go and sew them together, and then I'm going to attach them to the sides, and we'll pretty much have a completed piece ready to quilt. And I'm going to do very simple quilting on this, a lot of straight lines. I may do something a little unusual in here. I wouldn't suggest doing that for someone who's new. I would just do some straight lines together. But I'll show you it as I quilt it. Okay, now this is the table runner with the two side panels on it. First thing, of course, I'm going to do is to press the seam before I open it. Now, if you notice, I said before that my pieces weren't long enough, so I had to add a piece. Now, again, this is that 45-degree angle that I'm talking about. What I did is I put it on this side, and then on the opposing side, I put it on the opposite side. It doesn't matter if it's in exactly the same place as far as position at the end. But what is important is to try to get those so they're not obvious. And they won't be. I'll show you in a minute, as soon as I have this ironed. I should say pressed. Okay, so now we're going to open this up and kind of finger press that so the iron catches it correctly. Press that. And if you notice, you just hit the seam and bring it over, and that will turn it so that it's nice and sharp on the back side too. So you get a really nice look here. Excuse me, I must have had a piece of thread there. And I'm also trying to find where I'll wait till I get to this side. So now when I go to press this side again, now here's that connection, that 45-degree. Okay, and here is the 45-degree. Let me do this first. Okay. So here's the 45-degree angle I did on here. And I don't know whether you can see this or not here. This is where the 45-degree angle is on this black piece. And it's very hard to see. And once I start quilting it, you won't see it at all. And so here's the other one here on this piece there. And I will hit this so it's nice and flat. Got a little piece of thread there. trying to find where the connection is on this one, and I'm having a heck of a time. So on this side, here's that mark, and I can't hardly see it. And on this side, here I'm looking, oh, here it is right here. But again, I can hardly see this. When I quilt it, it just won't be there. And there's another one in here. Well, here it is right here. But again, because I did that 45-degree angle, you really can't see that. So the next part, I'll leave these ends odd like this, but I'll sandwich it, and I'm not going to use a spray when I've put it on for quilting. I have a real problem with the spray. It really bothers me, and I usually use my long arm, but for something small like this, we're just going to do this in channels. And so I will just put some pins, and also I use for the batting, I use one with a scrim, so that it really catches nicely to the fabric. But I'll show you that as I quilt it. As I mentioned when we started out, I wanted to make a simple table runner that used up fabric that I had. I am also making this for people who, a group that has never sewn before. So again, I wanted to make it simple. So this is a pretty simple. And then we of course have the two sides. So I am going to quilt it. Now, I've got my backing here, but I've laid that down. I've used a Warm and Natural because it doesn't have much loft to it. Works very nicely for table runners. And then on the top, and so I'm not going to be using any adhesive spray. I am going to be using some pins. So I don't have to put this on, put pins that close. I'm going to do a little different type of quilting here. This is normally I would just tell, if I'm going to have somebody else quilt this, something simple, they're just going to make some lines. And after I finish this centerpiece quilting it, I'll go turn around and draw those lines in so I know I'm right. But for now, the first thing I will do is quilt this centerpiece. These will all be done in straight lines, everything here. But here I want to do something a little bit different. So I'll make sure that that's secured quite well. So I'm just going to stick the pin in. I know that the back is flat. That's the one thing I really like about Warm and Natural. It really holds on to the fiber, holds on to the fabric really well. So I'm going to continue pinning this, and then I'm going to do some quilting. I'll show you the quilting in the center when I'm done. There's no reason for me to demonstrate it. It's just going to be lines, different ways, and it's my own design that I'm going to come up with. So we'll see what happens. But as soon as I'm done with this, then I'll mark this and mark these. I think I'll do these every ½ inch, so they'll get a nice straight look. It should look rather modern, which is what I was going for. But I think that now it took me less than maybe in about an hour to piece these and to add the sides. If you're brand new, maybe it's going to take you 2 hours, but I would say an hour for piecing. And then if you just do straight lines, I think probably an hour for quilting. And then the binding, that takes a little bit longer. And before we get done, I'll show you how the binding's done.